Okay, welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
And we have some special guests today. Not only special guests, we are on location.
First time ever.
First time ever. This is a lot of fun. So it's by far my favorite brewery in Omaha. Brian, I don't want to
For sure, yeah.
Is it really?
It's one of the closest to my house too, which is helpful.
Which is super nice. I didn't want to put you on the spot because we are joined by
Too late.
Too late, yes.
Correct answer.
Yeah, we are joined by Bobby Cross and Scott Strain, Cross Strain Brewing, and we're here to talk about the Resilience IPA, the IPA that you guys brewed it wasn't in conjunction with Sierra Nevada, but it was all the proceeds go towards the Campfire Relief Fund. Is that right?
That is correct.
So talk about how that came about.
So I think Sierra Nevada basically put a call to arms out to all the breweries in America. And basically, Jeff got the email, who is our rep, and kind of said that I didn't know what was happening until after he got that email. And it was basically a call to arms and like saying, can you brew this beer, and all proceeds will go to this Campfire Relief Fund. So I thought it was kind of a cool thing. The only crappy thing was, all our fermenters were full at the time, so basically all we could do was a pilot batch.
Well.
But for anything, it was basically a way to help. So even though
Sure.
it's 15 gallons of beer, it's still a way to get some money out to
It's still
all those
something.
people that were affected.
Right.
So
It's still something. So I did a little bit of research on this. So they originally brewed it, the guys at Sierra Nevada, because most of their employees were affected by that fire. If I read it correctly, like they lived close enough to it that their employees had to be relocated, and so it was one of the most devastating fires in California history. And so then all the money raised, not only at Sierra Nevada, but then every brewery across the country that brewed this beer will go to the Campfire Relief Fund.
yeah, I believe little over 1,600 breweries are doing this.
1,600. All right. Well, we didn't even drink the beer yet, so let's.
We're still busy talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into it, Rich.
All right, we got because then we have to talk about the color, because this is not a typical IPA. Look, I'm a rookie. I get it.
That's not our typical
Okay,
IPA
right.
that we brew.
All right, so let's give this a shot. Okay, it tastes like an IPA, but the color doesn't look like it. Just doesn't
It's more traditional color IPA.
like West. This is a West Coast style. Then is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would call it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's got the old sea hops in it, the Centennial Cascade. It kind of gives you that piney, that bitterness that I'm kind of used to on West Coast ones. So.
And that's typical of a West Coast IPA. Then that flavor profile.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it. It's
traditionally.
water profile, all that stuff kind of leads heavy on the gypsum, which enhances the bitterness qualities of those hops. And Rich just spilled my
all
beer.
over the place. Look at that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, these are kind of the IPAs we grew up on and probably were first making. 8, 9, 10 years ago. Kind of sea hop with a lot of caramel malt. Kind of got to give it a good firm backbone. So yeah, it's a real traditional IPA.
If you're getting a homebrew kit 10 years ago, this is probably the recipe or something similar to this.
Oh, yeah, most
right?
definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
It is way more malty than a traditional IPA. Or,
Yeah.
Okay, so than an IPA that I'm used to drinking.
Right.
yeah, I mean, Sierra Nevada, this is kind of their style, kind of like the little darker. Like what's their the Celebration? This
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of the Celebration that
Yeah.
they brew.
That's
a little
the-
darker.
It's like the
It's
Christmas
The
time one.
Christmas one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Brian, what did you have for us? What did you...
I did some information on the fire itself. I did some fire stat research, and then
Okay.
I also went through the list. I scrolled most of 2 hours today, not that long, but quite a ways to see some of the breweries that were doing this as well.
Okay.
So I got just a few that we've talked about before, had some of their beers before, or have connection to. So first thing I can tell you about the fire, November 8th, it started, and it ended up burning 153,000 acres. 85 people died. 13,000 homes were destroyed, and they are hoping with this beer to raise $10 million. The reason, or one of the reasons, it was kind of like a perfect storm for why the fire was so bad. Apparently, it started as a brush fire on like the side of a mountain, and it happened in the evening, and the wind was like 52 miles an hour that night. And in the area where this happened, the airplanes that fight fires don't fly at nighttime or when it's windy. So by the time they actually had a chance to get to it, also, it was on the side of a mountain. There was no road or any way to get to it. So by the time the next day could come, it already had a great head start on them. And I think it is now like the most worst. That's not really great phrasing, but
Most worst.
the most worst fire in history there in
Mostest.
California.
Mostest.
Some of the other breweries that I saw on their page that listed this, they had a map, which was kind of cool, showing it was like West Coast and East Coast and like 10 in the middle where we're at, right?
Okay.
So the first one I saw, we talked about before, was in Hayes, so LB, and then Farnham House here in town, Infusion. I saw one that I haven't had any beer from yet, and I'm kind of interested to check it out, is Flyover Brewing Company in Scotts Bluff. Jackson Street Brewery, South Sioux City.
Okay.
And then our friends Atlas Brewworks are also doing this.
In DC.
Yeah, and along with Avery Founders and some of
Yes.
the big ones. So
You had some DC experience back in the day, yeah?
Yeah, the Atlas, well, pretty much all the ones that are out there now opened up just about 6 months to a year after I left, unfortunately. It was kind of just right on the very beginning of all the breweries opening there. I think DC Brau was the only one that was open. They had been open for a good year and a half or so.
is that because they felt safe now that you were out of town? They were like, now's the time to do this?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I know another local brewery doing it. It's also Script Down.
Oh, okay, cool.
Scriptown did too?
Oh, did John?
Okay.
Nice.
So the release day, like they made a big thing of it on the internet. It was like 12/20 was the day, and it was going to come out. And then I know it's been out some places. I've been looking online.
Yep.
Came out early. Some places wasn't ready yet. Was that one of the things that they told you initially? Like, this is the day it has to come out, or was it up to you, or how did that work?
I don't know. I think there was a date. I think they wanted you to do it the 20th.
Yeah, I mean, they also had a brew date, specifically where they wanted you to do that, which nobody
I was going to say,
brewed on that day either.
it's pretty tough to get a bunch of brewers to do
Do what's
same
been
thing.
told to them? Yeah.
I would think they just wouldn't give a shit unless, all the proceeds went to the fire relief effort, so
Yeah,
they wouldn't
exactly.
care when it was done or how, how, obviously, but
Yeah.
when or when it was released. Or
I mean, I
whatever.
think they want them all kind of being released around the same
Sure.
time.
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of our reason for coming out here on the day that you released it. One, because I knew you didn't do very much, right? You didn't have not the capacity, but everything was full.
Yep.
Right.
And so, at least get a try, do this, and then, encourage others, because we have nurses all across the country that love to do stuff like this, that could go out and, find a brewery that did this and, and participate.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that shouldn't be hard either.
Right. Especially in California, right? I assume there are a ton in
I
California.
would
Yeah.
think so.
California, Colorado, and it seemed like Oregon were the big areas that I saw today on the map. So,
Colorado. I'll have to look
Yeah.
that up.
what about ingredients? They made a big thing about how everybody's like donated them, basically, right? So their suppliers and stuff. Allegedly, they talked them into handing stuff over. Is that the case
well,
for you, or did
I
you
think
have to
they
use some
reimburse,
supplies?
yeah.
They reimburse you.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if you had the stuff or whatever, that's cool.
Yeah, so basically you work with your malt supplier and tell them what you used, how much.
Yep.
And since we did such a small batch, I was like, we really don't need to
worry
pay
about
as
it.
bad,
Sure.
because it was such a small batch and it wasn't, a 15, 20 barrel batch where it's a couple $1,000s. But
Right.
No, we did have to go buy some caramel malt though, because we
No, we
Don't
didn't.
normally have that.
don't. Is that the same we use?
Yeah,
in
I used the medium.
In the dark?
It's a
Oh.
little darker than what the ingredients suggested, but
I was wondering.
know.
We don't normally have a lot of that on stock.
Brewers, we make things work.
That was my question is, like, I guess, again, they don't care. They just wanted the proceeds to go to fire relief efforts. But
Yeah.
what could you do your own spin on it? I mean, this has got your flavor written all over it, right?
I mean, there was some breweries that when I saw pictures, it was basically looking like our New England. It was just bright, like yellow,
hazy.
Yeah, it
not
had nothing
this
to
at
do
all.
with the actual recipe. So I was
No.
kind of calling BS on them
Yeah.
for brewing the beer. But
Sure.
they sent out a list of yeast that you could potentially use, hops. I mean, it was kind of up to the brewer. I just kind of wanted to stick to the original recipe because it's what they wanted and how they wanted it brewed. So I figured, I wanted people to try, a Sierra Nevada or something semi-close to what they wanted. So
Yeah. I read this on the Sierra Nevada guy. Why am I blanking on his name?
Grossman.
Yes. Yeah. He said, in reference to all of this, and I wrote this down because I think this is important. He said, beer doesn't fix your problems, but it makes a bad situation a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think
depends
that.
on how much you drink.
Well, it depends on.
I've been living that a long time. It's my life motto.
But I think that goes to speak about this in the 1,600 different breweries across the country that participated in this. That it makes a bad situation just a little bit better.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how much money they raise.
Yeah.
So the goal was 17,000 barrels, 4.2 million pints is what they wanted to produce for this.
Okay.
And then hoping for $10 million. So
That'd be sweet if they got to that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
that
would
seems
be,
like.
I think it's just kind of cool to see all the breweries just come together like that.
I think
to
so
help.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know of this really happening on this scale before. I mean, there's obviously been a bunch of collabs and kind of, I think, some special event type brews, but I don't know if there's been anything quite like this.
That's awesome.
yeah, that's pretty cool. It'll be an interesting thing.
I did want to put a plug in though. Stephanie's to my right here. She is our cellar person, Stephanie
Yes.
Colby. She's kicking ass in the cellar.
Awesome.
So I wanted to get her in on this thing because she's kind of
let's
just
ask
sitting
her
here
some
thinking,
questions.
"Let's
Well, I
get-
didn't know
all
if
right."
I was like allowed to chime in. At any
Oh, you
point.
totally
for
can.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can cut Rich off anytime you want.
Absolutely. You can have my mic
I'm wearing-
actually if you
I'm wearing
want.
a Santa hat.
Oh.
Will it fit over my Santa hat?
Can you hear it?
Well, Stephanie was supposed to give a
Weird.
shout out too.
Yeah.
It's like an echo.
Well, it's kind of echoing here.
Yeah, we're not in a great room for this.
We're on location. That's half the fun.
Yeah.
We're like brewers. We're making it work.
I am supposed to give a shout out specifically
There we go.
to Charlotte, my main girl. She's one of our brewers at Cross Strain. She's not able to do this right now because she's currently working so hard brewing.
She's back there
So-
brewing right now. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is she brewing?
She's brewing fairy nectar, right?
Nice.
Yes.
Potentially my favorite IPA of all time.
It seems to be just wildly known as a favorite. I mean, my dentist the other day told me that was her favorite beer, so I don't know.
It is.
And she's in Bellevue, so
It is weird when you go out
Yeah.
to
Like, oh, you
appointments
work
like
at Cross
that.
Strain? I love fairy nectar. I hear it all the time.
You can't get away from it.
That is cool. So let's talk about, because something pretty awesome happened here at Great American Beer Fest. So let's talk about that a little bit. So we have a couple, and this is completely outside of Resilience IPA and the reason why we're here, but I want to talk about it a little bit because it's something I think is damn cool. You guys want to talk? I want you guys to talk about it.
Yeah, the silver medal. I feel like I can't put myself in that position to talk about it because it's not. I mean, this is all Bobby and Scott over here. Like this.
Watch out for that,
is-
Rich. Holy smokes.
Look
Try
at
to
I'm
enjoy.
spilling, I'm dropping over.
How many?
Is this your first time?
It's a mess.
Never
Do we have
been
enough
here
beer on the
before.
table over here?
Yeah, no, the GABF win that was huge. That was a shocker to everybody, and yeah, I mean, this recipe and kind of all the iterations. That's all Bobby playing around with everything off the fairy nectar that we kind of started with.
So first year for the category, right? First year for the hazy IPA category.
Correct.
330.
391.
391.
What? 391.
Yeah, it's the biggest category ever.
I think there was like a 400 in the regular IPA once. I think I was quoted that on the video shoot we did.
Well, second.
And then somebody commented,
I'll still take
"Nuh-uh."
Yeah. Yeah, whatever.
There's always someone.
You got to count on the commenters.
Yeah.
They'll set you straight.
No, it definitely it wasn't the one that we planned on, well, at least meddling in that day.
Okay.
So the other three categories already passed us by that time, so we were just kind of sitting there just
Oh, he wants the bottle opener. Oh. There we go. Or to
Priorities.
open the bottle.
So
me
so
take
we were
care of
sitting
that
there
for you.
basically for the fourth and final one. Is the last category of the night. So we're just like,
So you thought you were shut out?
we thought we were shut out, so we were basically waiting to just go back up to GABF and start drinking.
Oh, sure.
Just
Yeah,
have
yeah.
fun.
Yep.
So the first the silver or the bronze medal comes up, and it's somebody from Chicago.
Yep.
And then silver comes up, and I hear fairy nectar, and I freaking jump out of my seat. Like I just, because nobody else,
That was you this time.
No, I didn't have control of that.
Somebody's going to lose an eye.
Somebody.
No, we were
It's
we
no
were
fun
half,
until someone loses
we
an
were
eye.
half packing up, kind of getting ready to go because you've been sitting there for hours. So we really didn't have any expectations, obviously, in that big category.
Yep.
So what's it like just sitting there? Is it like the Academy Awards? You have like a nameplate on the table and you're
Yeah.
just sitting there
Pretty much.
hanging out?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge auditorium. Just
Except they're serving you beer the whole
Yeah, they're
time,
serving-
That
too.
sounds terrible.
That
Yeah.
sounds awful.
No, it's everybody sitting in their seats, and you have to walk about a mile if you get called,
Yeah.
to get your medal and walk up stage. But yeah, it's a big auditorium with a bunch of brewers in it, and we're all just hoping our name gets called.
Sweet.
So
I think that's awesome too. And Scott, you're right. I mean, it was. I remember when I first had this, and you're like, okay, this is a little bit different or whatever. And I was not an IPA fan at the time. It wasn't my jam. I think I offended you the first time I was out. Right after the brewery opened, you're like, here, try Fairy Nectar. I'm like, I don't like IPAs. I'm not going to like this. And you're like, no, here, just try it. And I tried it. I'm like, this is not an IPA.
That's the thing about the Fairy Nectar. I feel like everyone tries the Fairy Nectar
Yeah.
and at first are unwilling because they don't like IPAs.
Right.
But it is literally the IPA for non-IPA drinkers.
We call it the Gateway IPA.
gateway,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And I think I pitched you off. I'm like, this isn't an IPA.
No,
And
you didn't
you were
piss
like,
me off.
you're like, what? Why?
It's really hard to piss Bobby off,
Well,
believe it or
okay.
not.
I guess you'd probably know if he was mad at you. I'm guessing.
You're probably right. Yeah. But no, and that was the beginning of the end for me. Now that's one of the first things I'll order when I go someplace. Let me try your IPA. Let me see. And I judge every other IPA against Fairy Nectar now. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
I'm going to give you a shout out, Rich.
Okay.
'Cause we did a rough scout out here last night. Had nothing to do with the Jam series that was released.
Nothing
So
at
we
all.
were here drinking a couple just to see where we were going to set up. And he got a badge on Untapped.
Yes.
Brewery loyalist or
Brewery
whatever.
loyal,
So you had like
yes.
15 beers from the same brewery within like the last few days or
Something
whatever.
like that. Yes.
So
I don't keep up on my Untapped like.
I'm getting him back into it.
Yes.
But yeah, so he's
don't
not
even-
he's not fibbing when he says he loves
Hopefully
it.
your
even
wife
offer.
doesn't see those badges and sees how many times you come here.
Yeah,
She
delete that off
knows.
the notifications off Facebook. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, she knows.
He's drinking again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even
Yeah,
think
I can't even remember
have
what the
that for myself.
Yeah. I've rated more beers from Cross Strain than any other on Untapped. So. Yeah.
So I think we got maybe, what do you think, two more good questions? You feel
Yeah.
like you got those? I have one that I've wanted to know forever.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask, and anybody can answer, but how do we get Ogallala Aquifer water? Can we get it? Can you brew with it? Do you got to pay for it? How does that happen? Does anybody use it?
Ord does.
Wouldn't be I would-
Scratchtown.
Scratch
I would
Town?
think
Uses
that
it, yeah.
Scratchtown. I mean, I think all those
I think they
cities
pull out of the well, yeah.
out there.
Just straight right out of it, huh?
Yeah, that's where they get their water.
Why do you ask that?
Well, first of all, it's a cool thing that we have in Nebraska and
Sure.
some other spots, but
Yep.
nobody else really does.
True.
So I always wondered, because water is important. It's like the most important thing, right?
Yep.
It's when you're home brewing
Yep.
and you're adding your things and your additives and whatever, and like trying to get your pH levels right where you want them to have. You got to start at that spot. So I was
Okay.
wondering if anybody can get it. Can you? Can you get it?
You can-
wanted
if
to?
you want to,
I mean-
run a long pipeline.
I was gonna
Super
say.
long.
I mean, if you're over the aquifer,
That's it,
drill
huh?
down.
Yeah.
I mean, all the irrigation pivots out there are
Yeah.
drilled down using that.
I mean, here we use RO, reverse osmosis, so it's basically stripped of all its minerals. It's because Omaha is it pulls from 3 different pump stations, so you never truly know where it's coming from. So you're your minerals are all over the place throughout
Yeah.
the year. So me and Scott always homebrewed with reverse osmosis, so we knew how to work with it, minerality wise, what to put back for the recipes and everything. So it was kind of just our go-to and what we started out with right away. Because every recipe, nobody knows, everything. You want to accentuate different things within the recipe, hops, malt, just mouthfeel and stuff like that. So every recipe basically takes different minerality in order to bring out certain aspects. So that's why we do RO, and we kind of just allows us to make a beer specified.
And that's why
for
you've got
the
like
style.
the little chemistry laboratory back there.
Yep.
No,
Yeah. If you go to a brewery that doesn't have that, you might as well just walk out.
AKA Bobby's office.
it used to be.
Is that technically your office? Is that
It
where
used to
you-
be.
Okay.
I used to have it. Well, they used to come in all the time, and I thought I was annoying them. by them always coming in. And I kept asking them questions, so I went back to my original desk. So no.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought how often we'd come into the lab looking for you.
So I know why you asked that question. I mean, that's a legit question. The water's important.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Water's,
I was in.
Actually didn't Lucky Bucket do like a vodka where they shipped in Ogallala water in trucks?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
Possible.
I
One
think
of their,
so too. That's
one
what I
of
was
their brands. They
wondering.
did that. They actually shipped in big truckloads of water.
Wow. Scott, you're wearing a hat of potentially one of the best beers. One of the best beers I ever had was, and I think it's because of the water. And I took a picture and I brought it back, and I think I showed you guys like how many barrels they produced or whatever. They gave us a little tour of Denali Brewing Company and Talkeetna up there in Alaska. And I asked him, like, well, you know, what's your claim to fame here? Like, what's your thing? And without a doubt, the brewer's like, it's the water. It all starts with the water.
Yeah.
And
Is that after you insulted them on their IPA?
Yes.
This is not an IPA.
This is not an IPA. You call this a brown ale? This is
No.
what the hell? No. I do feel bad about that, Bobby. I know.
Oh, don't you?
really too. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is that 2 beers we've converted you on?
Yes.
Styles,
Well,
at least?
Well, sours too, right?
Yeah.
sours too. Sours was that was
The
the
koala
first one.
tears was
Yeah.
one.
Koala Tears was the first one. That was, yeah, I'll never forget that.
And it's not made with real koala tears.
Don't tell me that. Don't ruin the illusion.
They're actually happy koalas.
There's some people that are mad.
Right. There's happy tears.
That's right.
They're cheering. But congratulations on the silver medal for Fairy Nectar London. It was, you guys deserve it. Like I don't think there's 2 harder working guys in the industry. At least here in Omaha that I see.
Oh, everybody works pretty damn hard in this industry.
Well, true. Yes. But I mean, you guys are our favorite, and then a favorite for Atlas, you know, for a reason. And whenever we have nurses come through town, this is, you know, where do I need to go? What brewery do we need to go to? And it's you guys. It's here. So
No, we love seeing you guys. It's awesome.
yeah. So
Good community.
yeah.
Thanks for coming down and trying the resilience.
I'm excited
Adding
to
to the
see.
fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if they get to their goal.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I'm going to help them. I'm going to go buy another pint.
I will too. Yeah.
All right, cool.
And we got to drink the rest of the beer on the table
Well,
here
I
too.
mean, yeah.
I was gonna say we got a couple other treats.
Yeah.
Stephanie, could you give me a ride home at the end of the night? Is that?
You know what? No, I can't.
Damn it.
I'm sorry.
not in the job
You have to
description.
call
Brian?
someone else.
Did not even
There's a
think
service
about it.
for that.
Uber?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Dolan, can you give me a ride home at the end of the night?
that-
No,
Sorry,
look,
Bob.
even he
Sorry,
should.
boss.
You can sleep on some grain sacks in the back.
Okay, I'll do that. Call my wife and let her know that I won't be home.
Bobby's done it before, so he has experience.
All right.
You'd see if your boss
At
will
least I never tell
reimburse you.
anybody, but-
Bobby, Scott, Stephanie, thank you so much. And thank you for letting us invade your space here and do this on site. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, this
So.
is pretty sweet.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you next week.